Good afternoon and welcome to Nora's Dog Training Company. We're here today with Steve and Brandy, and what we're going to be demonstrating for you today on video is Steve's ability to understand and respond to his formal on-leash obedience commands. The little tiny corrections and verbal motivations that we give the dogs when we're working with them, and the training equipment that we're using. Brandy is using a regular 6-foot web training leash, and she keeps the bulk of the leash folded in her right hand. That leaves her left hand free to give any adjustment that's needed, and the only correction that we give here at school is a little tug and release on the training collar, and that is the second piece of equipment that we're using. You will be introduced to your new training equipment and taught how to use that properly during your follow-up training session tomorrow. Now, Steve is sitting very nicely at Brandy's left, which is where all of our obedience training is done, and the first exercise that we're going to demonstrate for you is heeling. The command is Steve heel, and at this point he has a job to do, and that is to maintain pace with you when you're walking, not forging ahead or lagging behind, but staying right with you, letting you lead the walk, not him, so that he's never dragging you down the street. And each time that Brandy stops her feet, he's been taught to sit automatically without being told to wait for his next command. So this makes walking your dog a pleasure. You're not going for that daily drag down the street where it's hurting your arm, hurting your back. The dog's out of control. He's got his nose on the ground. If you keep that head up, you maintain control of the walk, and he stays right next to you. And Brandy is praising him verbally as she's walking with him. And the next command that she's going to demonstrate is the sit stay. The stay is a hand and a voice command, and because it is a stationary exercise, it is a one-word command. You're going to be able to lengthen out the time and the distance on this command, and you're going to practice indoors as well as outdoors. When Brandy returns back to him, she walks counterclockwise, she goes back to his shoulders and stops. And that's the secret, because he expects to get another command at that point. Then she takes off heeling with him again. Now you notice he went to drop his head, and she told him no, gave him that little adjustment to let him know that you're not to drop your head and put things in your mouth. That's a distraction. Nice automatic sit. She's going to leave him in another sit stay. She walks out to the extent of her 6-foot training leash. And this time, instead of returning back to him, she's going to call him, and this is your recall. He comes right in and sits, and that eliminates him jumping all over everyone. And practice makes perfect with all of these commands. We're going to be showing you how to do these exercises with Steve tomorrow. You have your video to work with. And he's a very pleasant dog. I mean, he has a very pleasant demeanor, so he likes to praise. He likes to get the praise, and he likes to see you happy with him. And if you're too happy with him, you will lose control. So that's why we stick with verbal praise, not physical, because he gets too over the top. Brandy's going to call him in again. He comes in and sits, and never praise him for coming and doing anything but sitting. If you encourage him jumping on you, or you don't mind, I even have clients that actually tap their chest and call the dog up, you're asking for problems down the road. Always sitting for that praise. Now the next command that we're going to demonstrate is the down from a heel position. So with the dog seated at your left, you're going to take your left open palm and push it straight down toward the ground and give the one-word command to down and stay. Your long down stay is best practiced right in your living room. There's less distraction. You're going to lengthen out your sit stays and your down stays. Your sit stays are going to work up to 3 minutes. Down stays you're going to work up to 5 minutes. Brandy returned back to him, stopped at his shoulders again, like we talked about with the sit stay. And this has a calming effect on the dogs. Just working in obedience, putting on your video, working through it a couple times, you're going to see that you have a different dog. Brandy uses her left open palm straight down toward the ground and down and stay. He wants to go chase leaves. Brandy's going to call him out of this before he makes a mistake. Because we would rather praise him for a good job than have to correct him for misbehavior. So if you can anticipate sometimes prior to the dog making a mistake by his body language or just his eye or ear movements, sometimes you can avoid having to correct him, and you can throw in another command and praise him for a good job. And the very last command that we're going to demonstrate for you is your down from a distance. So you're going to leave him in a sit-stay. This is the only time that you're going to use your right hand to give the command. And Brandy dropped him into a down from a distance. And again, you're going to lengthen out your distance and your time. Brandy's going to be teaching you tomorrow on how to incorporate all of these commands into your everyday living situations, like sitting and staying at all your entries and exits and all of those things. So there is a practical application for all of your obedience training. Steve is a great guy. We've enjoyed having him. We want to thank you again for choosing Nora's Dog Training Company, and we will see you very soon.